Sorry.
Oh, we started, right?
Yeah, I just
Ooh.
hit it.
Yeah.
I just hit it. Can I get one from you? I felt like this would be a threesome.
I was going to start singing WAP again, so that's probably for the best.
Probably for the best. Hi! As always, you got a little glimpse into our real life. This is Cool Couch Cinema. Donnie Darko, DD, or Daredevil, however you want to call him.
Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Mr. D. Darko.
I was going to do verse, that is not a verse, but verse.
Yeah.
Butterfly Effect, Heather's favorite film, apparently.
Thank you for letting me watch it.
Yeah, that was my first time watching Butterfly Effect, actually.
Oh, word?
Yeah.
It was my second time watching it, and I don't remember watching it the first time. I don't know why I kept talking it up. I mentioned it every single chance that I could as if it was like a good movie. I apologize to everyone for that.
It's okay. We went there. We found out lots of things about both movies. This is going to be a little chaotic because I didn't think of a format of how to set this up. I guess, Heather, do you want to tell us what happens in either of these movies?
Oh, Lord. What happens? So, do you want to start? Butterfly Effect.
Yeah,
we'll start with Butterfly Effect.
That's the first one.
Ashton Kutcher is abused.
I think you're jumping ahead.
No. Okay, so he has like memory lapses. He has blackouts. Doesn't know how they start. His mom is just real stressed out by it. She is a single mother because his dad is in jail.
Mental jail.
Mental jail.
I think he's in a psych ward.
He's just a psych ward, yeah.
Mental jail.
So he keeps having these blackouts, and every time he comes to, it's like after something bad has happened, but he can't remember the things that has happened. Fast forward to when he gets older, he finds the journals that he used to write, which was suggested by his keeper.
Psychiatrist,
thank you. His mental handler.
There we go.
But he would write down the situations in the journals of like leading up to the events and then blah blah blah. So as an adult he finds them and he starts reading them and he starts remembering the things that had happened during his blackouts, and he realizes that he can change them. Which is a bad idea. If you have the opportunity to change the past, just don't do it. Don't step on that butterfly. But yeah, it's because of, he keeps trying to change the situation to save his girlfriend, the love of his life, Mrs. Amy Smart, which I don't remember her name in the movie. I just know it's Amy Smart.
It's Amy Smart.
But
and Ashton Kutcher's name is Ashton.
Yeah. I didn't even realize that that's just what I called him. I forgot his name, too. But anyway.
The only character I remember, his name is Carlos.
It was played by white man, Kevin Durand.
We will get to that.
Yeah, we will.
But yeah, so every time he remembers a traumatic event that had happened, he tries to change it to save the future of the love of his life, but he keeps fucking it up because he doesn't understand. It's like when you make a wish for a genie, but you don't word it specific.
The evil genie. It's Bedazzled.
I was going to say with Brendan Fraser. That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Movie, let's be honest.
It's one of the best movies.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a good time travel.
All right, no, continue.
But yeah, no, he just keeps messing it up because he's not very specific about the changes that he's making.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to change the origin yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He loses his arms at one point and ends up in a wheelchair because he just can't balance, I guess.
yeah, the arms of the...
Yeah,
they really don't explain why he's in the wheelchair.
It's very weird.
It's how you walk. You walk like this. You cut those off, and you like...
And then you just like... You turn into one of those car wash things.
My God.
But yeah, it's one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. That's all I can say about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good recap. So what happens in Donnie Darko? Remind us of that.
In Donnie Darko,
Good luck, dude.
Gyllenhaal sucks a fuck. That is a really hard one to try to sum up.
Yes.
So
I feel like it's the same premise of Butterfly Effect, except for he doesn't go back in time so much.
He's more like interacting with it.
Yeah.
And not necessarily, he doesn't go back until like the end, but he's he's learning about it
as it's happening.
Yeah, it's very weird. And
it's more like he can. Again, he's not very specific, so he can see the future, but he can't tell what is what. just like specific things that happen in the future. Like Frank happens, the eye happens, girlfriend happens, but like he doesn't know until it actually happens.
Yeah, until the events start.
It's a weird way. It's very hard to explain. So I'm just gonna say, if you've seen it, you know. If you don't watch it. Because and if you're 16, maybe you can watch it. I feel like teenagers would really enjoy it. But if you're over the age of 21, you don't need to watch it.
That's the crux of my whole position of Donnie Darko.
Yeah, that's not bad. And I also think it's important to remember that movie takes place in the 80s.
80s, yes.
Yeah, which they do not really clue you into, besides saying it's the 80s right at the beginning.
Yeah, that actually is very important, I feel like, because there were several times when I was like, that would have never happened.
Well, and I was talking to Chris about it too, and I was like, yeah, I don't know how I was just like, I just missed it, even though his sister is always talking about Dukakis. And it's like, why is she talking about Dukakis in like the 2000s? But like, whatever.
Yeah,
like,
I didn't think about it either. I did not make that connection.
And even still being like early 90s or like mid 90s to where it is like, yeah, that's why they're not using cell phones or blah, blah, blah. Like, it's still it's like, you know, it's the 80s. You know, the 80s is always presented to have like this like look, and that movie just doesn't do it. You know, they're not like wearing neon colors and got like, you know,
they are not wearing.
Yeah, they're not
clothes.
they're not wearing like 80s stuff, and we were talking about that like at the party, like they got some bangers playing, and we're like, these kids are way too like
Toy Division unironically.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're like, this is like hell yeah, dude. I was like, and then it's like, oh yeah, this takes place in the and then also the whole Ed McMahon thing and like the Star Search and everything, because that's what I remember when we heard that. I was like, here's this magic place here? Like, what the hell's going on? Like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
I doubt your commitment to Sparkle. I doubt your commitment to Sparkle.
Yeah, so I don't know how that got like over my head. Maybe it is just because it's so many years later, and I did watch it like in 2005 or something. But it's just like, I don't know.
Oh yeah, it's an 80s movie.
Yeah, like I don't know.
Didn't take
and literally until we saw that scene in the party where I was just like, why are they listening to this music? Why are they always listening to like really good music? In my opinion, like no, teenagers
it's music
don't
that
do that.
Kids wouldn't listen to during that period of time, and that's why I don't think I considered it, because
at like a party as well.
Right. Because literally everyone I knew that grew up in the 80s did not listen to that music. It wasn't until like I was a teenager that music became popular. So I think that's why I didn't make that connection, because I was like, yeah, cool, that's a playlist that I listen to because I'm fucking old school. But like everyone else, then they wouldn't listen to that.
And then
they wouldn't listen to it.
In an unironic Hulk Hogan costume. Like, oh no, this dude's my hero. I'm going as Hulk Hogan. It's like, give it a few years, buddy. or I mean, you know, maybe you're down with that. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, well, that was a good recap. Christopher, you got any good jokes, thoughts, concerns?
Actually, the one thing I really like, the only thing I could probably just take away from Butterfly Effect.
Oh yeah, that one. I was like, we're not.
Is I think it's like, I mean, I'll have to do some more research to figure this out, but I think it's the only time travel movie I could think of that doesn't, like, it's not talking about free will. The movie's never talking about like his like oh, you're just like this cog in this machine, you're stuck in this thing that you have to like do. Where Ashton Kutcher's character kind of gets to like flop around, like do he can actually do whatever he wants. Like he could just like he could get like the lottery numbers, go back, fix everything. You know, he has the potential to do whatever he wants.
Yeah,
and they don't really like. And it was a breast of fresh ass like to have that in the movie, but like they don't never really. It's not something that they lean on. That's what we were talking about with both these movies. Like, I think Donnie Darko is too thick. It's just so much going on.
Yeah.
But Butterfly Effect is so watery to where it's like they got all these side characters in there and like they don't matter, or they're just kind of like props. Like his roommate, homie from Boy Meets World, he's just like a prop. Like he's just there.
That's true. Yeah.
And he delivers that one good line about like hey, maybe you shouldn't go traipsing around in time, but nothing really like comes from it.
And then even like his one really good friend who like is a reoccurring character.
Foggy.
So the dude from Daredevil. The guy from Daredevil and Mighty Ducks.
Yeah. Oh shit.
like he is even a character where I feel like he's supposed to have some weight, but it's just like, okay, whatever, dude.
And then even Amy Smart's character, like I was talking about, like when you're saying like the love of his life, it was like,
she was supposed to be like the central part of the movie. Like everything that he does is for her, but she was very much a background character.
Yeah,
I feel like Carlos was a bigger than she was.
And then I think she even says it. She says it. There's a line. She says, "If I was so important, why didn't you call me?"
Yeah,
like that's pretty blatant. Like that's pretty blatant right there. Like you never called her. Like, well, why? There's nothing that's like.
It's like he decided randomly, like years later, when he found his notebook, like, oh yeah.
When you get sexually assaulted as a child, those are the
we have a connection.
Yeah, dude.
We went through some shit. Love of my life.
Yeah, it's like
the only person who understands me because she went through it too.
Yeah, and it's like what? No, and
that's not how that works. That's more traumatizing than it is healing. Leave her the fuck alone.
Yeah,
agreed.
Yeah, no, that is not wrong.
And once again, I think it's and she gets refrigerated. Like his whole story kicks off as soon as she kills herself. That's like his big motivation. It isn't anything else. It isn't that. As soon as she kills herself, he's like, I must.
Because he wouldn't just leave her alone. Like he wouldn't just leave her alone. Like if he wouldn't have come back, like she didn't have a good life. But she wouldn't have wanted to kill herself.
Yeah, it's like, like that's what it was. It was like, and it wasn't even like any, like, because like that diner she's working at, like she's dropping shit, getting sexually assaulted, all these things, and she's just like, hey, par for the course, it's Tuesday.
She was getting by, like
it's just this fucking life, dog. I have to survive somehow, but I want to survive.
It wasn't good, but it was her life. Yeah. Like, that's something that she was doing.
Yeah,
and then he came in and dredged up all of this shit that he had no right to do. And then she's like, well, what the fuck?
I just remembered some trauma. Do you want to also...
do you
want to remember this with me real fast?
Let me drag you into this because you were a part of it too. You might have forgotten. Let me refresh your memory. We were fucking sexually assaulted by your father in your basement. Do you remember that?
I'm pretty sure he's got videotapes of it too. We can find those. I think this is going to help us both out to, It's like,
can you help me heal myself? No, you fucking white man, get the fuck away from
me. That's literally like the core of like dating right now. Like, hey, like, fix me.
Yeah, fix my trauma. And that's like a through line even with Donnie Darko too. It's just like it's somebody like it's all about like this woman having to try to help fix this man, but also having him be like, I'm a fuck up and I gotta fix like time now too.
What was it? It was something else. I can't remember what I was watching before, but it's like this weird occurrence that keeps happening. Is when people bring up, like in Donnie Darko, like they bring up their trauma or they're talking about their trauma and then they start making out. And I'm just like, what in the fuck, dude? Like what is going on?
That's not hot.
It's not. Yeah, if someone was like, oh, hey, like when she's like, oh, he discovers like, oh, his father like stabbed her mom, and he's like, that's the move. That's when you go in for the like, oh my god, I've been laughing about this ever since you said it. It fucking destroys me. It was when I don't want. It's not. I always want to say it's Kirsten Stewart, but it's not Kirsten Stewart. The Donnie Darko, like
Jenna Malone.
Yeah, Jenna Malone. Like, cause I was like,
Hunger
Games. That's why.
I've never watched Hunger Games. I've seen Now and Later, or Now and Then.
But
I love Now and Later.
I was like,
I used to eat those to lose my teeth. But anyway, it was Now and Then. Rosie O'Donnell.
When she comes in and Drew Barrymore's like, choose a seat.
Oh, by the way, I forgot that Drew Barrymore was in this movie, and then you said that again, and I also I was like, wait, Drew Barrymore's in this movie? We watched the whole entire movie, and I was like, holy shit, she's in this movie.
She's in the movie.
Yeah. She was the cool, hip teacher.
And she was like, pick your seat next to the boy you think is the cutest. And when I was skipping a beat, as soon as the sentence was finished, Heather was like, that's fucking disgusting. And I was just laughing because I was like, as I thought about it, I was like, oh, that really is. Like, that's not like a...
That's something disgusting for a teacher who's supposed to be teaching these young children. She may not be that older than them, but she is supposed to be the one who
probably like 27
teaches them.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Like, that's disgusting. That would be like if I saw the Magic Boys at work and was like, damn, dude, that kid got hot. Like, that's disgusting. That's borderline rapist.
Yeah, no.
That's sit down next to the one you think is the hottest because I know which one is hot.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I get that too. Like previous students from like writing and things like that, and it's like. And like one of my friends, she was actually like one of my friends. She was talking about. She was like, "Oh, I'm moving in with my boyfriend and like getting like I always want to say IED, but IUD and blah blah blah." And I was like, and then just
I thought you were gonna say iPhone.
iPhone and like she was saying this, and I'm like, but why? You're only 12 years old. Like, what is it? And then I'm like, it didn't hit me. I'm like, oh, that's right. Like, you're an adult. Like, I'm talking to you at your job now. You are an adult. Like,
there's a line, and Drew Barrymore crossed it.
Yeah.
In that movie. Yeah. That's fucking disgusting.
Yeah. Like, I was like, oh, that is. And that's the weird, too. The 80s, like, suburbia of that movie opposed to, like...
That's why she got fired.
Like, yeah, opposed to, like, I think Butterfly Effect is, like, white trash. And Donnie Darko isn't. Like,
that's why I was saying it's like I said it was like the gentrification. I said it backwards. I feel like Donnie Darko would probably be like the gentrification of Butterfly Effect, even though Donnie Darko came first.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they just had to, dumb down Donnie Darko for like just regular audiences. They're like, we need a time travel story with a crazy person.
We gotta find out how the two stories are related, like if they're in the same universe.
I think obviously not them being like New Line Cinema, or I don't know who made Donnie Darko. I think New Line
Probably
Cinema
Fox.
did Bubs.
Seems like something Fox would do.
Disney's got it now, but like if
Disney has everything.
Yeah, like if Donnie Darko is first, comes to 80s, and it's like, and especially because like the powers kind of are in a similar kind of like facet, because like what Donnie only like, I guess he's like what, like in a time warp again. like what, because he himself has no powers. The only thing that like the crux of Donnie's thing is like he gets free will. That's what I'm saying. Like he wakes up in his bed and he's like, I got a choice. I can either get out of my bed and do this whole thing over again, or I can just sit here, let this engine crush me. And
I keep getting fucked up that his mom and his sister like died because of it. I did not even make that connection like when I used to watch it all the time. It wasn't until you had said something when we were watching it that I was just like, I did not even take that into consideration. For some reason, I was like, a plane has 4 engines and they can run on just one. Like, if 3 of them fail, then they'll be fine. And in my head, I was like, they landed. What? Of course they landed. I didn't even, like, think about it until you had said that. And I was like, oh, my God. Donnie, why did you do that to your fam?
And think about the dad coming home. Like, that is a rough weekend. Like, your wife and daughter
he's just stuck with his
fucking
Dukakis daughter.
Yeah. Your other son murdered a man.
Yeah.
Like, that is a rough business weekend to come home
just,
from.
like, tightens his tie and just like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, it's like, ugh. But, then Donnie Darko, like, we talked about this. Both of those movies, like, I don't know... I think pedophilia was like getting easier to talk about because like a big example I can say is like Sinead O'Connor. Like Sinead O'Connor, her career was literally like ruined because of it. Like she spoke out about like pedophilia with the church, and people like booed her or like they hated her. Like you can't talk about that. But now we're at this point where it's like that's like if I didn't know someone, you could probably open up with a pedophilia like Catholic joke. Like it's something that we're talking about. It's something that is like actively going around. And not to say that these movies are like. It's what got us talking about it, but I think it's
inspiring.
Yeah. I don't know what like neither of those movies really didn't have to have those like plot points in there, especially because like with Butterfly Effect, especially there was enough trauma in there that you could have cut it out. Yeah, because it was like like
they didn't need half of the trauma that went on in there. Yeah. They could have just stuck with just that kid being a piece of shit, and it would have been like. Okay, that would have fucked me up too. Like the movie theater thing, that would have fucked me up too.
Yeah.
The mailbox thing, they didn't have to go that far. They didn't have to do half the things that they did. And I don't know why.
Lighting my dog on fire.
Right. It just seems like, okay, what's the most extreme thing you can do? Let's go even further than that and let's just keep it going.
Yeah. I don't know, for me it was also just like just the continual like refocus on the pedophilia aspect. It was just like
and they showed more every time it went back to it, and I was just like, no, you don't have
it's like I got the point.
Yeah.
I got it the first time. I don't understand why you keep inserting it in here. Like let's move this on. I feel like, and I don't know, we talked about this too. It's just like the whole beginning of that movie, like the first not hour, because that's like the entire movie. the first 2 like plot points, like where you learn what he's doing, and then when he becomes the frat dude, and then the continually like returning to the pedophilia thing. It's just like it's too long. You could have cut like aspects of that out, like especially the length of like the fucking frat boy thing. It's just why are we still doing this? I got the point, but then it stagnated there for no reason.
It became the movie.
Yeah, and it was just is this what the movie is?
Yeah.
Because he didn't even question it. He just went along with it immediately. He was like, I'm a frat? Oh, okay, let's do this. And it was that's not how it works. If I woke up in a frat, I'd be like, what the fuck is going on? I would question it. And I would question the fact that Amy Smart was in bed with me. I don't know. The whole thing just seemed weird because it was obviously Ashton Kutcher is fucked up.
I didn't really actually think about that, because I was thinking of because it shows up he gets the memories but he also he has memories from all of these experiences that he does. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if I woke up, even if I did get memories implanted in me, I'm like, how did I?
He doesn't even question it.
This is not my beautiful house.
Yeah. And it's also just he just I don't know, being a frat bro, you're an asshole, and then it's they allude to him being an asshole, so it's why would you ever want to be this person?
Yeah,
frat just got a bad rap.
I don't care how much you want that poontang, if you love it forever, but just act like a not asshole. Be
you did not have to do that.
The way he treats his little bros, he's well, I gotta revert to what this guy does. I'm this guy now.
That's the system. And that's the thing too. It's if the movie actually had the ability to infuse that into the story, this idea of he society's making him do these things and try to and that's what he's keeps jumping back for to try to be this perfect male for society. And then that would have been something, but no, he's just every time he's just jumping around. And even and I think we can segue to this so we can talk about the part you guys want to talk about. I don't care what you are. I don't care who's writing that script. To say that this affluent frat boy would go to jail for murder from the Kitty murders, has probably got a rap sheet a mile long. He's got
clearly defending himself.
Yeah. There would have been no way in hell he would have went to prison. No way in hell.
Doesn't matter what year it was.
Yeah. What? How? And I get it. Movie drama. You gotta get him. You gotta.
It would have made more sense had it been just him, who he was before the frat.
Yeah.
Him going to prison. That I would have bought. I would have been okay, he can't afford to take care of himself.
Yes. Yeah.
Dude's in a frat.
And then
dude's got a hot ass white girlfriend.
And his mom is remarried or married, and we don't know who this guy. This guy could be fucking J.G. Schwartz or whatever, whoever that is. He got money to throw. So it's it's
unrealistic.
Yeah, it was just okay.
Almost doesn't. I'm sorry.
I was
I did learn actually when I was looking stuff up that they did film that in a real prison in Washington, which I thought one of the things we noticed when we're watching. There's just way too many white people.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I still have a lot of questions about that particular.
White people do crimes.
I know white people do crimes, and I know a lot of white people who do crimes. I also know that black people are disproportionately locked up in incarcerated.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what prison you're in. A majority of them are not going to be white because of how our justice system is.
They're in the back.
Yeah, and that's my question is where are the people of color in this prison? And then I guess we can just move on from there because I honestly, this was the thing I could not get out of my head after watching this movie, and why probably Donnie Darko is a little bit better, even though I know both movies contain quite a bit of racism. Just more racism than you want to take down in a movie when you're just I want to enjoy time travel. You're but what if we just threw in some crazy shit right now for you to also take in? It's but no. You don't have to. But yeah, we get introduced to Ashton Kutcher's cellmate, Carlos, who is... What's his name? What's the actor's name? Kevin Durand, who is a
basketball player?
No, Durant.
Okay.
Is the basketball player. Kevin Durand is an actor who has acted in such things as Lost. He played Kimi. He was in Smokin' Aces. He was one of the brothers, the one with the big mohawk. He was in the movie Legion. He played
Gabriel.
Gabriel.
I
yes.
think, yeah.
That makes sense.
And
tons of movies. Always a white man.
I am number 4.
Yes, I am number 4. Yeah.
And so yeah, and he's a white man, and they put him in brownface, which was just there's no need. There's no need to do it. Yeah. There was absolutely no need to do it.
It was a
with
shock
the amount
to the system.
of white people that were in that prison. There was no need to make a white man a fake Latino.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me. And again, he was more of a character than Amy Smart was. I don't understand why.
But also, he was. Yeah, he was. Also, could have not put him in brownface.
Yeah,
they could have just made him white,
and
his name could have also been Carlos. It would have still been fine.
Or you just, like I said, drop off the O and the S. He's Carl now. Like what? And what? He can't be Catholic. Like the stigmata thing. All of the religious stuff that he used to like trick him into like befriending him or whatever.
He was the only one who believed him, and it was because of his like religion.
We just got to play into the stereotype real fast, okay, dude? Like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
It was very weird,
especially because like with the plot point of Ashton Kutcher having to join the white supremacists. You could use like Carlos as like his the reason he can't join this, or like there's other like. If you're gonna make him like a Hispanic guy, make him Hispanic for a reason. It was like he was just like, oh man, you know what? We need this Catholic stereotype, and what better Catholic stereotype do we have in a prison system than a Hispanic man?
Yeah, it's like, oh,
but. Let's not find a Hispanic man to play.
You know how hard it is to find a Hispanic man in Hollywood?
What, Latinos? Do they exist? Does anybody who's a person of color, are they in this town?
Yeah, it's a needle in a haystack.
It was one of the more absurd parts of the movie, for sure.
And that was really like disjointed. It was just like, wait, what? Like it doesn't need to happen. And then we go into... like the weird thing of like, I don't understand how Ashton Kutcher's character ends up getting into the mental asylum when he's in his last form. Because if he has this ability, then it's like, and that's the thing. It's like if he's getting all these memories and he has all this information that he gets every time he jumps, then why wouldn't he have written journals? At all, because he would have he has these memories, like he does.
Yeah,
as soon
he
as
has that
jumps.
ability to.
Yeah, so it's like it was very weird. Like I said, I think that movie works a lot on like trying to put him in situations that that give drama and that give tension, but like it's just so disjointed. It doesn't like work. But then the opposite with like Donnie Darko is just like there's so many plates spinning in that movie to where I'm just trying to figure out I'm actively trying to figure out what am I supposed to care about sparkle motion? What am I supposed to care about here? Because there's so many things going on.
And I suppose you don't really find out what you're supposed to care about until like the way end of the movie. Yeah. Like when she gets killed.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, okay. And then it's like his mother and his sister are being killed, and it's like, okay, yeah, I mean, I guess I care about those things, but then once again, like, the solution is only seen at the end. It's like nothing really leads you there. I think to go into what, like, I think Donnie Darko is one of the first movies, because I think a lot of people see that movie when they're like 15 or 16 or whatever. I think it's the first time you watch a movie, it's the first time someone experiences art and they feel like they can talk about it. Because there's not a lot of movies up into that time as a child that you can watch where you can like examine. You can go back and examine movies you watched as a child, as an adult now. But then I think you get to a point where like Donnie Darko makes you want to this is what I thought. Because I remember the first time I watched it, like my homie called me up and was like, "Hey, did you watch Donnie Darko?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I'm on my way. Like we're talking about it now."
Yeah.
And I mean, like, oh, okay. And I can't recall that with like any other movie at that time. So which I think that's Donnie Darko's claim to fame, is that like I think it's everyone's first time where they can actually like have like this like conversation about like the way they saw something.
Yeah.
In this artistic way.
Yeah.
Oh, like being able to like I think it's the first time that you can have like an artful examination as a teen. Like that's what Donnie Darko is. It's like you can actually be like, oh, this is what I think, about it. How time relates to me. Blah blah blah. And I think that might be the same thing for Butterfly Effect as well. I think you got it at the $1 bin.
Just for like a general audience.
Yeah, for a general. Yeah. So I think it's like that's what makes Donnie Darko. Because I would have a very hard time. Like, I don't know if there's any adult, if I knew an adult who hadn't seen Donnie Darko and was like, hey, let's watch it, I would just automatically assume that they're not going to like it. because it's like I said, there's so much going on. You don't really it doesn't really wow you, you know, it doesn't really do anything.
I feel like it only works for a certain sect of people, and it's edgy people who used to shop at Hot Topic.
Chain wallets.
Yeah, like, you know, trip pants. Those kind of people. And it's the kind of people who interpret it in a way that it's not necessarily meant to interpret, because what they take out of it is everyone dies alone. And not the whole, like, time travel aspect of it.
Interesting.
At least that's how I felt, because every single person that I grew up with that loves that movie still to this day just interpreted it different and didn't take into consideration, like, how convoluted the movie actually was.
Yeah.
That's what they focus on, is, like, him dying alone.
But I feel like
I've always had a problem with that saying.
I also just don't see that, like, I don't think he was alone either. Like, in a sense, like, he was by himself, yes, but, like, his family loved him. Like, he had a girlfriend, or I guess not at that point.
But he
like,
had one.
He had one, yeah. He had, like, this love and all of these things, like.
And that which he dies for,
but
so how would he die alone, though? Like, that in my head.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. It's just a
I mean, that's
who's not grateful for what he has.
Mm-hmm. But, I think I think the one thing we've avoided this whole time.
I didn't mean him. I mean the people who watch that movie. That's how they interpret it. Sorry. My wording was weird. But that's what I assume is, like, people who are just, like, don't appreciate what they have. That's what they take from it. Mm-hmm. And that's why they take from it. Okay. What they do.
Yeah.
The mental illness aspect of both of these movies.
Oh, yeah. No, it's a weird... I don't know. Like I said, I looked it up, and it, like, both of them talk about, like, the idea, because I was like, I wanted to see, like, what else, like, if people put that together, because Heather and I had this conversation too, like, there are more than, like, these two movies that are examples of, like, you know, time travel and mental illness being, like, intertwined into one thing, and very specifically, like, schizophrenia. And it's an interesting idea of, like, I don't know, I think, like I said to Heather, like, maybe part of the reason is that it's, like, it's very easy to explain those things away with the way that, like, schizophrenic people see the world. But also a very strange correlation that seems unnecessary to make.
Because it's almost like, you know, the people who made the movie don't quite understand mental illness.
It seems to carry the stigma.
Yeah,
still.
It's like, this is how they think mental illness affects people, and, like, this is why it would be good, is because it's like, this is how they feel like mental illness affects people.
You don't have mental illness, you have a superpower.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
No, I'm pretty sure I got mental illness, dude. Like,
it's people who are just like, you don't need to be ashamed of your mental illness. You're just so powerful. Oh, no, the reason I have mental illness is because I'm weak.
Like, my brain is goo.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, I don't know, it's a very, I wish there had been more, like, on the internet, like, discourse about this, like, why...
We're the only ones brave enough to tackle it.
Like, how do you start a forum on Reddit? Because I would like to know if other people think the same way and they've just never said anything because it's not something... I mean, who else these days goes back and watches The Butterfly Effect and Donnie Darko? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and I wonder if, like, other people have had these thoughts, but they've just never said anything about it because, like, there was nothing about it to begin with.
Well, and also, like, I don't know, like, I mean, like I said, I've never seen Butterfly Effect, but I definitely saw Donnie Darko back in the day, and I don't even really, like, I thought about the mental illness aspect of it, but it just, you know, it's just another part of the movie, and, like, how he takes everything in, so it just, like, kind of wishy-washy pushed it off. But, like, as we're watching Butterfly Effect, and, like, also, you know, like, I'm a completely different person now than I was, like, even when those movies came out, you know, my take on mental illness is completely different, and especially, like, things as, like, extreme as, like, schizophrenia and, like, those stigmas behind that. So it is, like, weird watching these movies with this lens and being like, this is kind of fucked.
Yeah, and it exists in other genres too, because I remember, like, back when Silver Lining Playbook came out, and they were like, and that was the thing, like, they were romanticizing, like, people's mental illness. And there's that one movie with, like, Johnny Depp and I can't remember, but, like, Benny and Zooey or something like that. These people
Benny and June.
Yeah, Benny and June. They have, like, mental illness, and it gets played for, like, it's like, oh, it's just quirky, and it's like no. And so I think we're slowly getting there. We're just, like, trying to figure out like how to do it because there's so a lot of social issues in the world if you haven't been watching the news. So I think we're all just trying to like figure them out like one by one. But like because like like The Stand has that problem. We were talking about it too. It's like there's this problem where they do that where there's like some kind of differently abled person, and in order to I guess to like validate that character's like existence in the world, they have to give them like superpowers. And it's like, well, like no, they can still just be like a person in this movie. I mean, obviously, it wouldn't work for like these two characters because like that's so like it's like baked in.
Yeah, I was like, but that's what I was about to say. Is like, could you take it out? Like, if it is such a backbone to both of those stories, but like if you took it out, like you could still build those stories off of without it.
Yeah, you can do the same story with different situations.
Because like you can have Donnie be somebody like still like this edgy teen who's going through all of these same like kind of issues, but like you don't necessarily have to have it be like, well, he's also just like, excuse me, my language here, crazy. Like.
Yeah, it just seems like it's written by people who don't actually understand. They never talk to anyone who actually had the disorders that they are making the movies about. They just read about it and assumed that they understood everything about it.
And both those movies are before Wikipedia, so God knows where they read it and what they read.
It's just so, I don't know, it's just so wild to me. It's like I had mentioned to you before, like therapists who have never dealt with suicidal tendencies or like depression, who have only read books on how to help you and then try to help you. And it's like, well, if you've never experienced it yourself or had a conversation with someone who has experienced it, like an actual conversation, how are you going to fully understand the situation? You can't. It's impossible. Mm-hmm. You can't just read about something and be like, I know everything about it. I'm a genius. It's not how it works.
That's what throws me off about like, like people, like religious couples who like go to like a pastor for like marriage counselors or whatever. It's
my God.
It's just not even married. Like, like why would I listen to this dude? Like, it's like.
But not only that, like, I mean, this is a whole nother type of discussion is like, I have had to my parent, I suffer from depression and like have been very, very sad. And I don't know, one time when I was talking about like just how sad and like almost like suicidal I was feeling, my mom was like, well, just go talk to a priest, that would probably help you. And I was like, I might as well talk to a fucking wall. Like, why would I ever talk to a priest about this?
Yeah.
Like, what's he know more than like anything else? I think I need to talk to a psychiatrist. You got some money for that?
The good word. That's what she's saying. Like, hey man, priest is free, all right? Like, help me out. But it's like it's a very weird thing that they bring into these movies. It's like the mental illness and like it's like it's character defining for them, and it's just like it doesn't really need to be in there.
And it's like it's character defining as in it's like something they have, but it's not like discussed in a way that's like poignant or important. Mm-hmm. Like in Donnie Darko, I think they try to with like the insertion of like the psychiatrist and stuff, but it just like comes across really like, I don't know, kind of silly, like with the things she does with him, like the hypnotizing things, and just like, I guess, and then the way it works into like, him dealing with time travel and doing those things, and
almost like jerking it in their office too.
Yeah, it's like okay.
Yeah, so but it's strange.
It's just the way it's just not there. It's not there.
Yeah.
In conclusion, they were not good movies.
I know.
Yeah, that is like
the most mind blowing thing about like wow, like this is none of us won. Like
I at least thought that Donnie Darko would have some sort of like message. You know what I mean? Because that is so many people love that movie.
Yeah.
It was a highly rated movie. Like that is it's
a cult classic too, and it's one of those movies that like you hear people talk about like time and again and like how deep it is, and it's just like, and I remember the first time I watched it in college, I was just like, I don't see the appeal of this, but like I guess I get it. Like it's one of those things where like I said before, it like seems like just like a college film student's like final project. That, like, people were like, oh, this is kind of sick. Like, and then it's just, like, got that weird notoriety.
It's like he spent his whole year thinking about the plot of it and then had to do it in a week.
I call that phenomena the Mulholland Drive effect. Like,
God, I just watched that movie, like, a couple weeks ago. I don't even want to get into that.
But it's like, I think what happened was, it was like the cool kids were like, oh, that movie's great. And so you didn't want to seem like, you're like, oh, like, even though you didn't get it, and you're still like, what the fuck? You're like, no, yeah, I thought it was cool too. I think that's just what it is. Like, you just, like, you were, it's just that. It's just, the Mulholland Drive effect. Like, this is what it is. Because, like, I watched that movie and I was like, okay, yeah, it's like well shot and everything, but it is. But what the fuck happened? Like, I'm like,
absolutely nothing.
And it's like, okay, I understand that. Like, I'm supposed to be okay with being lost and like not understanding it. That's cool. I'm down with that kind of art, whatever. But I
love being confused. Yeah. We love being confused here.
Yeah, but don't sit me down and be like, oh, you just didn't get it, or like try to explain the reasons why. It's because it's like, okay, you don't know either. You're not David Lynch. You didn't make that movie.
Yeah. No, every time someone says that to me, I'm like, oh, okay, well then, what is your interpretation of the movie? What happened in the movie? Can you explain it to me? Because I didn't quite understand it. Love it. I love doing it to Brayden because he's always like, I'm like, yeah, explain it to me.
I don't know. And then there's like, it was just weird. But yeah, those Donnie Darko and Butterfly Effect, they were just like, they like weren't good movies. They really weren't. Like, they're, especially like, I mean, like, I think we all came in very biased with Butterfly Effect. I think we can all admit that.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to come in with like a clear mind because I was like, oh, I've never seen this movie before. Like, I know it's not going to be like a fucking Oscar winner, but like, whatever, it can't be that bad.
Yeah.
Like, it can be only as bad as all of those movies in that time frame.
Yeah. And it has nothing to say. It does nothing. And then with Donnie Darko, because we talked about it, like, you have a friend, I have a friend. We've met multiple people with the end of the world tattooed on their arm. Like, we've met...
Yeah.
Everyone has met somebody with that, and so you're like, there's this like air around it to where you're like, oh man, yeah, this movie's got to be like baller, like it's gonna stand the test of time. And
parts of it did. I'm not gonna lie, parts of it I was like, okay, that's pretty cool, but overall, no, dog, that movie sucked.
That movie was boring.
Sucked.
It had
too long, too much going on.
Yeah,
too much I don't fucking care about. Too much Jake Gyllenhaal. Like, just too much.
I don't disagree if there's too much Jake Gyllenhaal. The thing I would say, if we're gonna like talk about the verse part of this, I would just give it to Donnie Darko just because of the music.
Yeah, no,
and then
absolutely.
some certain shots.
Sparkle motion.
Yeah,
like they're both like just not.
Donnie
good.
Darko made. I don't want to say it made sense to me, but I get why people were excited about it. And I get why it became a cult classic in a sense. So for me, that
it's
definitely
for people
wins.
Who like Fight Club, you know.
Right.
I'm going to go,
right.
My answer would be a draw. Like, they punched each other out at the same time, and like none of us won. Like, none of us won.
We watched two very bad movies.
Really bad movies.
I apologize again and again and again. I will never do that to you guys again.
I feel like, I mean, like I said, I want to watch the Justice League. Like, I want to watch the Joss Whedon one and then the Zack Snyder one.
God,
that's like 9 hours worth of movie. But
I had a meme.
It's gonna be 10 hours of me going insane about like how much I don't like Zack Snyder. So
I'm gonna go in with a clear mind because I've never seen any of those movies because I don't like DC movies.
So we're
new DC movies. You gotta watch. You know, Down or Superman, and after that you're good.
Classic Batmans I love.
Yeah.
Classic Batmans I love. I have not watched any new DC movies since the Bane Batman. I have not seen anything since then.
He Begins to?
No, I'm saying Bane,
okay.
like the Tom
Hardy one. No, yeah. I was thinking Poison Ivy. Never mind. You know what?
No.
I was like, oh yeah, who was in that?
No, I just kind of like gave up on DC movies after that because I was like, And then Henry Cavill, like, I'm always like torn because I'm like, yeah, of course I want to see Henry Cavill and his tight butt, but like,
yeah.
I just haven't wanted to do that.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. So yeah, no, we'll have more movies, bad movies to watch. That is just what we'll do here. Part of what we'll do here. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think we should go for a draw. They're equally bad, equally not entertaining.
Yeah.
Equally just, like I said, the only reason Donnie Darko just steps up is just like I can tolerate the music. I was just like, yeah, I love jamming out to like this stuff.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's all I have. I think we covered all.
I think that was way more than either of us wanted to have.
That is exactly the amount of time I wanted with this.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to think. I don't ever want to think about that movie ever again.
And with that, we are wiping our memory.
I'm gonna just do a flash, MIB flash. I'll do a flash for you guys, so you don't have to remember this conversation either. We're gonna start watching Buffy. And we're going to figure out a format for that instead of a free-for-all. But, we do what we do here.
Yes, we are going to discuss the feminism of Joss Whedon.
Well, I mean, it's not necessarily, his. It's, everybody. That's the one thing that,
I think that was a joke, right?
Yeah.
That was absolutely
But, it's as collaborative as most art, is, especially television, the kernel of the idea of, the flipping of the trope of the blonde girl killing monsters instead of being killed by monsters, and then all these other people who worked on the show, the actors, everybody else, it's feminism, but he only had the good idea, what would be great? Shoes. And then all these other people help make shoes. It's these shoes rule. These shoes suck. Yeah, it's like that. This
was a team effort.
Yeah, it's so weird. I don't obviously he's done charity, he's done things like that and all these other things, but it's weird to it is weird now to examine his him being because I don't claim to be a feminist at all. I'm not saying that I'm not oppressing women or anything like that, but it's but he actively went out and was I am a feminist, and then we hear about all of this stuff, and it's just now it has to be it does have to be.
Okay, let's reword it. We are going to discuss the complex intricacies yes, of the character and real life director and writer and creator that is Joss Whedon.
Yeah, I think we'll have a lot of really good discussions, because we can also look into how the time, the decade that it was made in, and all of those different aspects of how it's aged and how we've all fucking changed too.
Yeah, and being out of high school, watching it now, in high school I didn't really catch a lot of things, but I rewatched Buffy. I'm not afraid to admit that, but rewatching certain episodes
so many times.
Yeah,
the episode Pangs. I watch that every Thanksgiving. That's to this day one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah, and it was watching it and being oh, that meant a lot. I'm affected. I need to sit down. Buffy, what are you doing to me? Where it's oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's it. Don't go watch Donnie Darko.
We would not recommend it.
Yeah, but thanks for sitting here and listening to us. If you did, like and subscribe.
Hit that bell.
Yeah, do all the good things. I don't think I have anything else. So wave at the camera.
Do you want me to sing WAP?
But you can.
Make it drop somewhere. Grab a bucket.
You grab a Muppet.